Saudi Arabia is trying to buy time before oil buys less. Saudi Arabia Vision 2030 was sold as a national transformation, but transformation is never free. The kingdom wants to turn oil wealth into tourism, cities, entertainment, sports, and global influence. That sounds exciting until the bill shows up in construction costs, energy demand, and market pressure. Why should you care? Because when one of the world's biggest oil powers changes direction, prices and investments can move with it. This is not just a Saudi story. It is the Middle East economy being redesigned. Most people hear the simple version. Saudi Arabia wants to become the new Dubai. But the real story is bigger than skyscrapers, resorts, stadiums, and Saudi Arabia megaprojects. It's like pouring concrete over cracks. The surface looks stronger, but the pressure underneath still matters. Oil still funds the dream, tourists still need a reason to return, and investors still need proof. So the question is not just what Saudi Arabia is building, it's what the country is trying to escape. By the end, you'll understand why Saudi Arabia tourism, NEOM, and Vision 2030 matter. You'll see how Saudi Arabia economy is trying to move beyond oil before the old model gets too risky. You'll also see why Dubai became the model and why Saudi Arabia wants to go even bigger. Because becoming rich is one thing, but becoming a global lifestyle destination is something else. Stay until the end, because the final question might change how you see Saudi Arabia's future. Chapter 1. The oil problem Saudi Arabia can't ignore. Saudi Arabia has one of the strangest problems in the world. It became rich because of oil, but now that same oil wealth is forcing the country to reinvent itself. Think of it like having a high-paying job that pays for everything, but knowing the company could cut your hours anytime prices drop. So the uncomfortable question is simple. How does an oil kingdom build a future that doesn't depend on oil? For decades, the Saudi Arabia economy moved with the oil market, and that matters far beyond Riyadh. When oil prices rise, fuel, shipping, inflation, and even grocery costs can move with them. But when oil prices fall or production gets cut, government revenue gets squeezed and big projects become harder to fund. The IMF reported that Saudi oil GDP fell in 2024, while non-oil growth kept expanding, which shows why Saudi Arabia Vision 2030 is not just a slogan, it's economic survival. This is where Saudi Arabia transformation starts to feel less like ambition and more like insurance. The kingdom needs tourism, entertainment, construction, logistics, and private sector jobs to carry more weight. If Saudi Arabia becomes the new Dubai, money, workers, tourists, and companies could start moving differently across the region. But the risk is that building a post-oil future still depends on the money oil provides today. Chapter 2. Why Dubai became the model. Dubai proved something Saudi Arabia could not ignore. A desert city could become a global brand. It used airports, luxury tourism, real estate, finance, shopping, and spectacle to pull in money from everywhere. Think of it like turning a highway stop into a luxury destination people fly across the world to see. That's why Saudi Arabia doesn't just see skyscrapers when it looks at Dubai. It sees a formula for attention, investment, jobs, and power. Dubai welcomed 18.72 million international overnight visitors in 2024, and its airport handled 92.3 million passengers. That kind of traffic feeds hotels, malls, restaurants, airlines, construction, and thousands of service jobs. Tourism isn't just vacation photos. It moves markets and creates real salaries. Dubai's economy is now overwhelmingly non-oil, which is exactly the direction Saudi Arabia's economy wants to push. That makes Dubai less like a neighbor and more like a working blueprint. So the new Dubai idea isn't about copying one tower or one artificial island. It's about copying the machine. Build the destination, attract investors, bring tourists, and make the world pay attention. Saudi Arabia tourism wants to enter that same global loop where attention becomes flights and flights become money. For you, that can affect prices, jobs,
investments, and the Middle East economy. But the problem is simple. Dubai built its image over decades, while Saudi Arabia is trying to do it at extreme speed. Chapter 3. Vision 2030. Saudi Arabia's Big Bet. Saudi Arabia Vision 2030 is basically Saudi Arabia saying, oil made us rich, but it can't be our whole identity. That's a massive shift for a kingdom built around energy, exports, and state spending. The plan is to grow tourism, entertainment, sports, logistics, technology, and private sector jobs. So the real question is not whether Saudi Arabia has money, it's whether it can build a new machine fast enough. The tourist numbers show how aggressive this strategy has become. Saudi Arabia passed its original target of 100 million annual visits years early and raised the goal to 150 million by 2030. That matters because more visitors mean more hotels, airports, restaurants, events, drivers, guides, and construction jobs. For regular people, this connects to markets, jobs, travel routes, and the future balance of the Middle East economy. Saudi Arabia tourism is no longer a side project. It's one of the main engines of Saudi Arabia transformation. The bet is that attention can become an industry. If millions of people visit Riyadh, the Red Sea, or NEOM, foreign money starts moving differently. Investors follow airports, hotels, conferences, stadiums, and tourists because that's where future demand appears. But the risk is clear. If the promise feels bigger than the experience, Saudi Arabia could spend billions building destinations people visit once but never return to. Chapter 4. The megaprojects built to shock the world. Saudi Arabia isn't trying to modernize quietly. It's building places so huge that the world almost has to look. NEOM, The Line, the Red Sea resorts, Qiddiya, Diriyah, and Riyadh's transformation aren't just buildings, they're marketing weapons for Saudi Arabia megaprojects. Think of it like releasing the trailer before the movie is finished. NEOM sells the dream of a futuristic region built around technology, tourism, and new industries. The Red Sea project sells luxury coastal tourism, Qiddiya sells entertainment, and Diriyah sells history. Why does this matter? Because these projects can create jobs, move real estate, attract airlines, and pull investors into Saudi Arabia economy. This is Saudi Arabia Vision 2030 turning construction into a signal of power. The message is simple. The kingdom wants the world to visit, invest, and talk. This is the Dubai playbook, but on a much bigger map. Dubai had the Burj Khalifa, Palm Jumeirah, and luxury tourism. Saudi Arabia wants entire regions that make people say, I need to see that. If it works, Saudi Arabia tourism becomes a lifestyle brand, not just a religious or business destination.
Chapter 5. Can Saudi Arabia really become the new Dubai? Saudi Arabia has the money, the land, the ambition, and the global attention. But becoming the new Dubai is not just about building bigger towers or flashier resorts. It is about convincing people to live, work, invest, vacation, and return again. So the real test is not whether Saudi Arabia can build, it is whether the world will buy into the lifestyle. The kingdom has real advantages Dubai never had at the same scale. It has religious tourism, huge oil wealth, a young population, strategic geography, and massive state-backed investment. But it also faces real challenges: heat, costs, cultural limits, competition, and whether foreign tourists feel comfortable enough to stay longer. Saudi Arabia transformation could make the region less Dubai-centered and much more competitive. So, the new Dubai label is both powerful and dangerous. It gives Saudi Arabia tourism a simple story the world can understand, but it also creates huge expectations that every airport, hotel, event, and mega project has to match. For you, this could influence where companies invest, where jobs appear, and how regional power shifts over the next decade. But the biggest question remains unresolved. Can Saudi Arabia become a global lifestyle destination without losing what makes it Saudi Arabia? So, what do you think?
Can Saudi Arabia really become the new Dubai, or is it trying to copy a model that cannot be repeated? Would you visit NEOM, the Red Sea resorts, or Riyadh if the experience matched the hype? Subscribe, turn on notifications, and keep learning how geopolitics, economics, and power shape your everyday life.